Hello, and welcome back to Galactic Goddess Podcast and TV. I'm your host, Radanelia, and today we have a very special guest, Abby, who has a background in business and finance and is an author of How Me Found I, and she is also a co-author on Awakening Starseeds. So welcome, Abby. So happy to have you here.
Thank you, Rada. Thank you for the invitation. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so please tell us a little bit about you.
Well, like everybody else, I think I'm a human being just trying to figure out what things are all about. But in essence, I'm basically an entrepreneur and a venture capitalist from a career. But I started my life as a diplomatic brat. I was born in Kabul, Afghanistan, before people even knew where Afghanistan was. So it was the time where I always said I always had a fantastic childhood. And then I grew up, and then that's when the shit hit the fan, so to speak, and things got really, really hard. I came to the States when I was 11 years old after having a phenomenal childhood in Afghanistan, and then learned what it was like to grow up in a modern society. And from that, became an entrepreneur. That ultimately led me into the financial world, and where I became a venture capitalist, and I was managing a multi-billion-dollar fund. And then my world as I knew it ended. And essentially I ended up with it getting sick. And that triggered a spontaneous Kundalini awakening within me. And so that took me completely away from, a world of money and success, and just catapulted me into a whole spiritual journey for the past 15 plus years. And where I kind of discovered what it was like to be a human being. And there's a whole story about that. So maybe we'll be able to get into that in this whole conversation. But the bottom line is that I was spiritual now. I wasn't spiritual back then. And the whole thing culminated in a book called How Me Found I, Mastering the Art of Pivoting Gracefully Through Life. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's beautiful. I would like to discuss your theory about the flow of energy flow, and how that's affected you, and how you talk about that in your book as well.
If you come from the basis that we're all energy is everything, everything is energy. So we get so caught up in who we are in the three-dimensional role, of form, of matter and form. So I see you, you're this person. You see me, I'm this person. There's a form to us. But the reality of it is that we're all energy. When we all close our eyes, all those descriptors fall away and we just become energy. So the question becomes this. Number one, if we're all energy, how do you move in energy? How does energy flow? How do you create an energy? Because there's conscious awareness there. Then the second thing is that when you do open your eyes and you see matter and you see form, how does that result from the interaction with energy? In other words, thought begets matter, not the other way around, which is what a lot of us seem to think, that this world of the senses, the five senses that we see around us, is really the only thing that exists, when in actuality, it's the outcome of what happens energetically. Does that make sense? It was the most important thing I understood in my spiritual journey. Now, add to that is that before we are our role in society, the conditioned personality that you've become, I've become, how we interact within society, before we were even that, defined by that, and before we were even defined by our gender, female, we're first and foremost a human being. And as a human being, a natural person, meaning a person attuned to nature and to this earth, we are inherently powerful in our own right. And our destiny, our purpose, our meaning for being here is our natural legacy. So when you put all these big pieces together, the fact that number one, we're energy first and foremost. We're a human being first and foremost. We are meant to have our destiny, the destination of our journey here in this incarnation, first and foremost. And that there is inherent power in that statement or in that concept of a human being, then you
Mm-hmm.
sit here and you go, why is our world so contracted, so fear driven? So why are people quietly just desperately dying?
Mm-hmm.
Is there an alternative to all that? And my spiritual journey, and then that's probably the reason why you invited me to be in your book and why I wrote my book, is because if you understand that and you go back to that fundamental thought, then you realize that flow of energy and flow of money is one and the same.
That's beautiful.
Does that make sense?
It makes so much
So
sense. Yeah, it makes so much sense. And I love that you are a female entrepreneur that has that experience of both spectrums. And I think maybe that's where you bring alchemy, because because you were so proficient on one side, but maybe you became so proficient that the other became imbalanced, but then you became proficient on this side, and that's mastery. Bringing those two together, that's mastery.
it's completely mastery. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely mastery, Radha, because if money is energy and energy is power,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that you as a human being are naturally powerful in your own right, then it makes sense that if you understand money, you understand energy, you understand power,
Mm-hmm.
then really what you have to do is learn how to control it.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean as a female? So let's bring it back the other side. As a female, we experience in society together today, we experience disempowerment. There is a tremendous imbalance in how power and control is handled in society today with regards to women. So if you are a female, it is your responsibility and your duty, if you want to become empowered, to learn and understand how to control that, how to bring that under your control, under your self-control, and to understand how it works, the process and the flow of energy, ergo money, because money is a representation of it in this three-dimensional world of ours. So what does this mean about being spiritual, about being awakened, about everything that your book speaks to? It really means that if you are going to fundamentally change the world, if that is your mission as a starseed, and I fully accept that myself as one of those coming out of the spiritual closet, so to speak, which in a financial world is like, people go, what? You have to understand and become comfortable with energetic flow and with money. Because money is the representation of that energetic flow in the world today.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think that as a starseed, and you can make this I'll bank the statement. As a starseed, as a spiritual being or a person who has realized the spiritual component aspect of themselves, that if you understand that energy, everything comes from energy, and energy has certain principles, right? Number one, it undulates. Because it undulates, it goes up and down and it goes side to side. The fact of the matter is your ability to understand frequency, higher frequencies, lower frequencies, and how to understand accumulation of wealth. So survival on one side, accumulation of wealth on the other, both interact with each other, which means if you can understand how to work both ends, you're way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So if does that really
that makes sense? Yes.
It makes total sense. So, and what I have found is that most people who open themselves up to their spiritual side somehow end up becoming deficient or struggle with the concept of money, wealth, control, power, all of those words, because those words are supposed to be antithesis to spirituality.
Yeah, they feel like it's bad.
Exactly. So they give it a judgment,
Yeah.
Comfort is bad. I must suffer in pain and in discomfort. Well, the reality of it is that you cannot do your mission without resources.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
money is resources.
Mm-hmm.
So that logic to me has never made sense.
Mm-hmm. No. No, it does not make any sense. You cannot do your mission without resources. I'm reinstating that for all starseeds, that you guys, if we want to make some balance, there's a reason why some people are doing a lot of things and others are not. And people that have big, generous hearts, we got to know that it's okay to receive financial support. It's okay to receive money. It's part of the flow of life. And in order to do great things, money is important. Okay, guys? So let's just release that thought right now that money is bad. Money is just energy. It's actually not good or bad. It's simply energy. And we are rebalancing the scales when we are empowered. That's what I'm getting from this. Yeah.
In a nutshell, if you think about the infinity symbol.
That's what
So
I was
the
thinking
infinity
about.
symbol, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the infinity symbol basically also has another meaning to it, and that is the continuous feedback loop of appreciation and gratitude, right? So it's really about the receiving,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about the giving.
Yes.
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 So you have to learn how to receive appreciation, and you then are able to give gratitude, which is the acknowledgement.
Yes.
So in Africa, that's called Ubuntu, the ability to recognize each other, okay, the humanness in each other. In South America, the Cuero Indians call that Ani, the symbiotic relationship of existence. So when you look at that from those two spiritual contexts, then you're able to apply money the same way. Money appreciates when received with appreciation, and then you're able to give money out in terms of support and resources to somebody. There is a spiritual connotation to money as well.
Yes. Yes.
When you place it in its energetic values, because that's all money is. It's representation of transactional energy.
Yeah.
When you transact with somebody, it's an energetic action as well.
Yeah, it really is. It's a beautiful it's a beautiful thing when you start to look at it from the eyes of spirituality rather than the dogma. And I don't know, like, where did that come from? Money is the root of all evil. I don't think that's true. I think that there's been a lot of manipulation around it, but the truth is, like, nothing is good or bad unless people make it good or bad, and I think I think a lot of starseeds or healers or, spiritual woo-woo people, magical people, you magical people need to know that we need to bring money to a 0 point so that we can just have sort of a sense of neutrality. And then there's a little bit more ease around that as well. And I really appreciate your background, having dealt with multi-billion-dollar market caps and then going into the spirituality. I when you were talking, the symbol I did see was a figure 8. And that's what I was wanting to say. Like, I love the figure 8. It's the infinity, and it's a feedback loop too,
And it's also a balance loop.
Yeah.
It's like two teardrops that are coming together.
Yeah.
So there's balance inherent within that, but it's a counterbalance model.
Yes.
The project that you were referring to at the beginning of this conversation is something that's very dear to my heart, and I also believe that's my purpose for coming here as a starseed. And I think that inherent within that is the ability to understand money as a transactional energy. The project is to help women entrepreneurs around the world spiritually awaken and become comfortable with using money to help develop their projects on this earth.
Yeah.
So it's like a 3-part thing. Illuminate your life, understand who you are as a human being, understand the concepts of power and control as a human being, then impact your world, which is do your project, do your destiny. And then number 3 It is be a human being, a natural
Mhm.
person, inherently powerful in your own right. When you take all three things together, then that's really your mission.
Mhm.
It's the successful, it's the successful creation of your mission or completion of your mission. It's your destiny work.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense. And yes, yes to destiny work. That's so much about what I'm about too, is the destiny work, what we're here to do. Um, and sometimes that comes as a people have like a breakdown beforehand where it
I think
preps
we all do.
them. Yeah, it preps them. And I find that so much with Starseeds that they were like on this one path, and then there's like something shifts very dramatically in their life, and that leads them sort of like good, you mastered this, let's pop you on this path. And it's such a blessing. And I think, when you're going through something like that, a breakdown, it can feel like, why me? Why is this happening? It can feel very victim like. But I just want to reiterate that if anyone is listening that's going through something, that very often it's because you're on the precipice of such a big change in your life. And
Yeah,
that was your experience, correct?
it was. And I
Mm-hmm.
really think I also say this to people. If the breakdown or the transition, which is really the
Mm-hmm.
pivoting,
Mm-hmm.
my book really addresses transition. How do
Mm-hmm.
you bridge from that one life where suddenly the universe picked you up and dumped you in another life without any warning? That's,
Mm-hmm.
the universe either whispers in your ear, taps on your shoulder, or just hits you with a two by four, and I got hit with a two by four.
Yes.
So I wrote this article for Common Ground magazine, which is the San Francisco Bay Area's largest spiritual magazine, and it's called Navigating Change,
Mm-hmm.
the art of the soft pivot, and you can get that off my website. But it really talks, how do you maneuver through transitions and changes, which is always constant. I mean, that's the only constant in life. And when you can understand it far ahead of time, you can avoid the two by four painful reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it took years to get like transition. But I also say to people, the bigger the transition or the bigger the impact that you have, and such a shift from your life means you're being prepared for something huge.
Mm, I believe that.
So it has both an excitement, but it also has a responsibility,
Yes. Yeah.
because you were not meant to have a small life,
Yeah.
you know?
That's so beautiful. That's so true. And I really resonate with what you just said about, like the bigger the breakdown, the bigger the breakthrough. That we are getting prepared. And, we are at a very big precipice of change in our whole world on many levels. And as you know, we are receiving more energy that's incoming. And as a vessel, we can carry that light inside of us. We can be a conduit of that light. And so often we've picked up or been programmed with so much of this other stuff that is not as healthy, maybe toxic even. And so purging and clearing is a big part of that, so that we can keep opening and opening and opening. And as we really anchor in these codes, um, I think that's really activating more of who we are too, our
It
true
is.
self. Mm-hmm.
It is. But I want to say one thing that I think is crucial, and nobody ever really talks about it in these
Mm-hmm.
kinds of conversations. And it's the concept of power.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is we enter into this 3D world where it's all about power and control. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about the few controlling the power of the many.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wonder why everything is so dualistic and so polarized. It's really
Mm-hmm.
about power and control. Those
Yeah.
who have the power control the rest. So the powers that be dictate the way the game is being played.
Mm-hmm.
So you come into this world as a star seed, and you are basically now trying to become a conduit.
Mm-hmm.
The transference of information flowing in so that it can come out into this 3D holographic world of ours. If you do not understand power and control, you're going to get decimated. You
Mm-hmm.
won't even be able to get started. The second thing about that is if you don't understand power and control from an electromagnetic model, which is really what it is, truly is beyond the 3D, you cannot regain control and power inside this environment that you're coming in.
Powerful.
So, that's, we're talking about that at the very end of this conversation, but it's really something that I'm finding that is so lacking as a conversational topic.
So
Is
true.
how do you reconcile your electromagnetic beingness, which is what you are as a human being, and how do you learn how to manage power and control as an electromagnetic being, and then turn around and utilize it effectively in this three-dimensional holographic world that we live in right now? That's the big question.
That is the question. That is a mega question. I mean, that's the
That's
question.
what money is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what money basically represents, the ability of power and control as an electromagnetic being. And maybe that's the reason why my particular, bent has been as an entrepreneur and a venture capitalist, or essentially understanding the flow of money and energy in this entire environment. But that's a question I'm tossing out there.
You guys, think about it. And I love how it ties into the work that you're doing now and what you're creating. You're helping the flow of energy through empowerment, through helping women understand perhaps money or their potential, or various ways in which your whole program is going to be touching people's lives across the world.
It's directly answering that question I just posed to you.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what is the best way for people to get in contact with you? And I'll put your information below as well.
Well, essentially, we're in the middle of transitioning a lot of our work, but you can go to my website, which is abigaildiazjuan.com, or you can go to mydiamondquest.net, which is where we also talk about the book. They all flow into each other. But the book itself was written so that you as an individual can understand that relationship between the electromagneticness of who you are as a human being and how to handle being in society. So it was an inspired book, to say the least. And then just stay in contact with me. There's my email address is there, and we can then begin to tell you about the Women's Idea Trust Project, which is really helping women entrepreneurs reconcile their electromagneticness with who they are as an entrepreneur.
Wow.
And we're hoping to get more deeply involved in that and launch that sometime next year.
Amazing. I'll put the link to your book below as well. I cannot wait to read that. And it's just such an honor to talk to you. I really appreciate your journey and the contrast of the duality of your journey as well, because we both know that's where all the good stuff is found, is in the learning process and navigating the two. So you are a wealth of information and empowerment, and I'm just so honored to have you in Awakening Starseeds. Thank you so much for joining the book.
My pleasure.
And you guys, will put all her information below, so be sure to contact her, and have a beautiful day, you guys. I hope you found inspiration in this conversation. Post below. Bye.
Thank you, Radha.